because that one feeds directly into there, so it normally doesn't go down. Kind of an easy process on how that works. So there you go. Just some stuff to talk about. But that's not importante. The importante portion is taking a listen to it here on the radio. So with that being said, let's get to the move, to the groove, and let's do the thing that we do. And what is that? It's talking about the news. So let's do this real quick. Remember when Peloton's head said that even though the company lost billions of dollars, it was headed in the right direction? Well, it turns out that it was not sustainable to the outlook. Now, Barry McCarthy, the CEO, tells Wall Street Journal that the company has 6 months to turn things around or it's kaput. He also said that the company is bracing for another round of layoffs that will affect about 500 employees or 12% of its workforce. Worth noting, he also tells the Wall Street Journal that I can see the numbers of the businesses starting to change course, which is part that gives me confidence when I say that I think that this is the last step in the process. Meanwhile, Amazon says that it's hiring 150,000 people, seasonal staff, to support the demand of holiday shopping this season, while analysts predict that the slow economy will suppress sales, the same number as for the additional staff that they hired last year, just in case if you didn't remember that part. And then what else? What else? Amazon might experience an uptick in business as people turn to reliable free shipping and buy more cheaper things. So, I don't know. It's going to be some interesting times as those things are happening, moving and grooving and all of that kind of fun stuff as we are talking about it. Anyways, let's see what else. New York City was one of the longest COVID restriction holdouts in the world, and policies have destroyed, policies have destroyed its robust real estate market. To make things worth, the Looney Tunes working where are some of the last to embrace the actual going back to their desk. Bloomberg estimates that this personnel crunch has wiped out $453 billion in evaluation of real estate holding. Once the premier place to do business, remote work threatens that greatly. Data shows that about half of the workers are back in person, and the overall office vacancy rate is double of what it was worth pre-pandemic. So, are you telling me in a weird kind of way that this is the time that you should start investing into the real estate market in New York?
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, Vatican police detained an American tourist who got so mad about that he was told that he couldn't see the Pope that he smashed 2 marble statues. The only details on the perp is that he's from the U.S. and he's in his 50s. At first, he knocked over one of the marble busts, and then when he tried to flee, he stumbled into another one. Fortunately, Vatican reps say the damage is fixable. So hold on. Did you really go to Vatican with the expectation that you could talk to the Pope directly? Like, hey, I'm here to see the Pope. Hello, Pope? Can I talk to you? I mean, come on. I mean, what are you thinking? Just not as some of the stuff that makes sense. Annie Ermach has earned this year's Nobel Prize in Literature. The committee calls her an extremely honest writer who is not afraid to confront the hard truths. Annie has written on controversial topics like promiscuity and abortion. She has taken home 10 million Swedish kroner for the effort, worth about $900,000. Shit, that means that we need to start focusing on winning some Nobel Prizes because apparently we need that kind of money as well.
Rated R Safety Show.
Sarcastic? Never.
Okay, so it's hard to make your day worse after getting into a car crash unless the accident exposes the $2.7 million in meth you had stashed in the wrecked vehicle. Police outside of Fort Worth, Texas, sees A drug stash while investigated an accident. In total, an astonishing 60 pounds of meth was rounded up. No word yet on who was involved in the collision or other circumstances. So there you go. Some stuff to think about. So I just don't hide your stash there. I guess that's one way to look at it. So talking about cash stash, let's talk about that real quick. John Smalls, where are you?
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Friday, October 7th, 2022. As traders brace for another round of key economic data, equity markets pulled back again Thursday. The round begins today with the release of the NFP report, which is expected to show steady and stable job gains, if not robust job increases. This news will be compounded by several reports next week, including the CPI, which is expected to be hot. The takeaway for investors is the news should confirm the need for another aggressive FOMC interest rate hike, which will not be good news for the market. If the index cannot get above the current levels by the end of next week, the odds are high for another big drop in stock market prices. Next week also brings the onset of peak reporting season for the third quarter. The bulk of the reports are expected to be tepid and could also include margin compression and weak guidance. The takeaway here is that estimates have been falling for the last 2 months, so the average S&P 500 company should be able to beat the consensus easily. The question is by how much, and will it be enough to get the market back into rally mode? With inflation and interest rates still on the rise, however, a major rally does not appear to be in the cards. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thanks, John Smalls, for the information on what is going on out there. Anyways, by the number, the Dow lost about 347 points Thursday to close at 29,926. The S&P dropped about 39 points to close at 3,744, and the NASDAQ lost about 75 points to close at 11,073. West Texas Intermediate ticked up to $88 on Thursday. Brent crude closed at $94.85. The national average price of a gallon of gas is now $3.87, unless you're in California, which is about $7 a gallon. Bitcoin sunk on Thursday, losing more than $216 and trading around 19,944. There were 2,212 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Thursday, without about 140 cancellations. So there you go. Anyways, if you have no plans for the weekend, I got some info for you real quick. There are some new movies coming to Amazon, Disney Plus, and Netflix, and let's talk about them. New to Amazon Prime will be Catherine Called Birdie. New to Disney Plus will be Drumline. New to Netflix, Dollhouse, Luckiest Girl Alive, and Old People. Yep, Old People. So there you go. By the way, talking about streaming services, I'm amazed on the amount of streaming services that are popping up as of late. That's number one. And yes, we are aware that we're in that same market of streaming services on what we do on Safety FM Plus. But with the streaming services that are out and about, I recently got some ads for a one that was we'll just call it horror-based shows. And they had a really, really low entry point for a whole year. And I was amazed with the quality of stuff that was on there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I like some horror movies, but I was just amazed on how cheaply priced it was. Just kind of amazing on how some of these things happen. Anyways, let's get into some more new stuff because who cares about what I'm talking about? Take a listen to this real quick. Today brings a small measure of relief to drivers in Ventura County. Daniel Martindale explains.
Average price of a gallon of regular gas is down 2 cents to $6.42. There are similar decreases across California today. The statewide average is down 3 pennies to $6.39 per gallon. Ventura County set a new all-time record at $6.44 and 0.3 cents on Wednesday. I'm Daniel Martindale.
You know, that's not kind of the record that people want to be breaking. That is for sure, as we are talking. Anyways, a Republican senator has gotten internal records from a whistleblower showing that hundreds of FBI employees left the Bureau after investigating into sexual misconduct. Hey now, Daniel Martindale. No, that's a lie. Michael Kastner has more info.
As Senator Chuck Grassley said on Thursday, the whistleblower provided an internal Justice Department report indicating that between 2004 and 2020, 665 FBI employees, including 45 senior-level personnel, either retired or resigned to avoid receiving final disciplinary letters. In a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray and Attorney General Merrick Garland, Grassley wrote, "The allegations and records paint a disgraceful picture of abuse that women within the FBI have had to live with for many years." I'm Michael Kastner.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible to hear overall and what's going on there. Gas prices are a dime higher than a week ago. Just keep climbing. Michael Kastner has more.
A reports the national average price for regular is $3.89 a gallon. That's up 3 cents from Thursday. Prices are the lowest in the South, but they're still rising. Mississippi and Georgia have the lowest statewide average at $3.20 a gallon. The highest prices are in the West, led by California's $6.39 statewide average. I'm Michael Kastner.
That's crazy. I mean, I wouldn't even drive in California at those rates. You start thinking about it. I mean, I don't want to drive in California, period. But you start thinking about those rates and you go, driving is probably not, all that it's mashed up to be. That is
Central Commands is a rare helicopter raid.
When you click the button ahead of time, it doesn't work out too well. Maybe I should tell you what it's about. American forces have killed 3 ISIS militants in attacks in Syria. Mark Mayfield has more info.
This is a rare helicopter raid on a government-held village in northeastern Syria on Thursday killed a senior ISIS militant that was hiding there. Later in the day, a separate airstrike killed 2 other ISIS fighters. Central Command said U.S. Special Forces landed in the government-held village in search of an ISIS militant known to facilitate the smuggling of weapons and fighters. American troops killed him, wounded another ISIS fighter, and captured 2 others. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield, for that. Take a listen to this real quick. 3 people hurt following a stabbing and other incidents at the New York subway station. In a matter of hours, riders are on the edge.
Crazy things keep happening all the time. It's really not safe.
Police say that attacks occurred Thursday afternoon and evening, including one where a 30-year-old man was randomly stabbed in the back and chest getting off at the number 4 train in Morris Heights section of the Bronx. He's expected to survive, but attackers are still at large. Earlier Thursday, another man was stabbed during an argument on a subway platform in Harlem. And about an hour later, a couple had a knife pulled on them at the same station. A 45-year-old man also was slashed at the station in Cypress Hills, with the suspects fleeing and that are still on the run. Well, something tells me I don't want to be taking the subway. That's why when I tell people that I stay locked up most of the time, they kind of wonder why I do that. Yeah. It's a crazy world out there. At least so it seems.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, a man has been sentenced to 5 years in federal prison after robbing 52 cell phone stores in Southern California. Daniel Martindale has all the details.
Pleaded guilty in June following a series of smash-and-grab robberies at T-Mobile stores in Camarillo, Long Beach, Carson, Inglewood, and Encino. He's one of 3 men who walked into the stores wearing ski masks and used hammers to smash security display cases. They made off with cell phones, watches, and other electronic devices. He's also been ordered to pay more than $333,000 in restitution. I'm Daniel Martindale.
Why in the hell would you want to steal cell phones out of all things? It's not like they're really worth that much in the first place. Anyways, a new home is under construction for Muskingum Heights neighborhood for the first time in 17 years. Muskingum County Career Tech Center teacher Holly Portress says that the 1,600 square foot home is being built by the high school students.
What it's about teaching youth skills and helping them see how that they can improve their own community.
The home will be the 1-story and 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. The basement walls are expected to be poured today. The land was donated by Janet Robinson, whose great-grandfather used to live at the site. Muskingum County Tech Center teacher Holly Pontes is proud of the construction at Muskingum Heights for the first time in 17 years.
Everyone here wants their community to improve, and it starts somewhere. So if it just starts with this one little house that we're building with students, then that's where change happens. That's where hope happens.
So there you go. Some interesting stuff going on right there. Take a listen to this. Serial killer D'Angelo Martin will serve 45 to 70 years in prison for killing 4 women in 2019. He was sentenced yesterday for the deaths of Nancy Harrison, Trevinsna Ellis, Tamara Jones, and Annette Nelson. Letisa Ellis was among those who spoke at the sentencing, saying that her children keep asking about their grandmother.
Come close to telling them exactly what happened because I don't want to frighten them and want them to be afraid to live.
Martin was also sentenced 20 to 40 years in prison for 2 additional sexual assault cases. He pled guilty to the death of the woman in September. Lisa Hushner, mother of Nancy Harrison, was among the 4 women killed in 2019.
It gives you hope. It gives you hope that you may get out of hell one day. You don't deserve to see daylight or another day in your life.
Some interesting stuff going on right there. I mean, at that particular portion, you start going, sentence the man to death. I mean, is almost how you have to think about it. Like, what kind of life in prison is that? I don't know. It's kind of a mixed review in regards to me even saying that out loud. But what do I know?
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Feature story news in London. I'm Giles Gibson. Human rights activists from Belarus, Ukraine and Russia have been named the joint winners of this year's Nobel Peace Prize. The chair of the Nobel Committee said Ales Belyatsky, Russian organization Memorial and the Center for Civil Liberties in Ukraine all demonstrate the significance of civil society for peace and democracy. Sally Patterson has more.
The Nobel Peace Prize recipients were praised for their efforts to document war crimes, human rights abuses, and the abuse of power. Ales Belyatsky has championed democracy in Belarus for decades. The Ukrainian Center for Civil Liberties monitors political persecutions in occupied Ukraine, and the human rights organization Memorial was shut down earlier this year by the Supreme Court of Russia. This year, there were 343 candidates for the Nobel Peace Prize. The full list of nominees is kept secret, but the bookies' favorites included Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and environmental activist Greta Thunberg.
Thailand's Prime Minister is ordering a fast-track investigation following a mass shooting and stabbing at a preschool in the country's northeast. 37 people were killed, including 24 children. Richard Kimber reports.
Thai police say the gunman arrived at the preschool at lunchtime on Thursday while the children were taking a nap and became agitated to find that his own child was not there. He then began attacking staff with a gun and a knife, killing one teacher who was 8 months pregnant, and then killed more than 20 children, some as young as 2 years old. Police say he then returned home and killed his wife and son, and then himself. A dozen more people who were injured are receiving treatment in hospital. It's not clear if there was a motive for the attack. Police say the 34-year-old gunman was a former member of the force, but had been sacked last year over drug offences. He had appeared in court to face charges over that just hours before launching his attack.
The leaders of Japan and South Korea are vowing to strengthen their alliance in the face of ongoing North Korean missile launches. Pyongyang has conducted missile tests at an unprecedented pace this year, and fears are growing that it may soon carry out its first nuclear test in over 5 years. Here's Nora Vinek in Tokyo.
Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol say they want to work together and build an alliance with the United States following ballistic missile launches by North Korea. It was the first phone call between the two leaders since Yoon came to power in May. Pyongyang launched a ballistic missile over Japan for the first time in 5 years earlier this week. Ties between South Korea and Japan have been strained in recent years due to unresolved historical issues and territorial disputes.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more depth at the problems besetting the Kremlin as Russia's military retreats in the face of a counter-offensive by Ukrainian forces. One top Russian-installed official in the annexed region of Kherson said on Thursday that Moscow's Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu should consider killing himself over Russia's military losses. That criticism comes after Vladimir Putin authorized the first partial mobilization of reservists in Russia since the Second World War. Sir Laurie Bristow is a former UK ambassador to Moscow.
Mr. Putin announced that partial mobilization, partly, I think, to try to seize the initiative back on the battlefield, but also partly to seize the initiative domestically. So There are growing signs of public discontent. Crucially, I think also signs now of potential splits within the elites. It's not delivering more manpower, more military effect on the battlefield. But what it's also doing is producing exactly the opposite, I think, of what was intended, which is mobilizing public opinion in Russia against Mr. Putin's war against Ukraine. So you've got these queues of people trying to leave Russia that you can literally see from space. If I were in the Kremlin, I would now be quite worried about the ability of the leadership actually to keep control.
And even on tightly controlled Russian state television, the criticism of the military's performance in Ukraine is mounting. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And the main news again. Human rights activists from Belarus, Ukraine and Russia have been named the joint winners of this year's Nobel Peace Prize. Thailand's Prime Minister is ordering a fast-track investigation following a mass shooting and stabbing at a preschool in the country's northeast. And the leaders of Japan and South Korea are vowing to strengthen their alliance in the face of ongoing North Korean missile launches. And that's the latest from Feature Story News. Giles Gibson reporting.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Adopt Rated R Safety
what
Show.
To expect when you're expecting a teenager, learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. You are still hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. It is still 43 minutes past the top of the hour. Not like we were locked in some kind of time frame there, but just letting you know that. This right here is Lone Wild with Why Do I Hide? This song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. If you want to go out there and take a download-y of it, little stream action, we would like to thank Lone Wild for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. As we are hanging and banging, doing the stuff that we do, a lot of information coming your way today. A lot of stuff going on as we are hanging. Always a fun time being here with you. Okay, so let's get back into it. Let's start talking a little bit more about some stuff that's going on. By the way, before I forget, at the top of the hour, I will be going over to Radio Big exclusively for the next couple hours or so, doing the music stuff that we do over there. So if you want to come and hang out. The other side is that if you keep it locked on Safety FM, you have some Sheldon Primus coming your general direction, doing the stuff that he does, talking about how you can become a safety consultant. So you can take a listen to that as well if you want to. So it is that time of the day that we need to talk about this because it's always important to do this. It is always important to hang out and talk about this stuff. So let's do this right now so we can talk, so we can hang, so we can bang, and all this other fun stuff. So take a listen to this, and let me tell you about my friends at the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you or your loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to 988 Lifeline, 988lifeline.org. I couldn't read for a second. 988lifeline.org. You can use the chat box that's there. Or you can text the word talk to 988. You can also, if you want to, you could also do this. You could text the word talk to 988. You can call 988 if you're based in the U.S. It's the easiest way to do it. It is the simplest fashion on how those things work. And I will tell you, it will be a move that if you do it, you will not regret it. We need to normalize this conversation as much as possible because it seems to be that there is some stigma with this subject, opposed to it being so important as it needs to be talked about all the time. Seriously, not a joke as I say that. So anyways, that's what's going on with that. So 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline. Please, if you are struggling, get involved. Talk to someone. Easiest way to do it. 988lifeline.org. So let's get into some stuff going on inside of the world of the news, because I think we need to start talking about some of that stuff because it is always important. Let me give you a corona update because it's been a while since we've actually talked about this. As the virus behind COVID-19 mutates, so too the symptoms that are associated. And now experts are warning that the dominant strain expected to cause, well, a case that surges in the winter is no different. While the most common symptoms of previous strains have included fever, loss of taste and smell, and a runny nose, now most reported symptoms is a sore throat. According to Professor Tim Spector, co-founder of the COVID Zoe app, with the next wave beginning, it appears to be affecting older people earlier than last wave. And many people are still using government guidelines about symptoms for the previous variants. At the moment, COVID starts in 2/3 of the people with sore throats. Fever and loss of smell really are rare, so many older people may not think that they've got COVID. Those people may think that they simply have a cold and never be tested. He's calling the government up to update the guidelines to reflect the trends seen in the recent months in hopes of curbing some of the cases that are starting to spike. I used to say that the humor is just like COVID because it's tasteless. At least I can still say that if we get either that or pretty sick. I guess that's some ways to look at it. So there you go. Anyways, what else do we have going on with the world? Let's say, maybe I should talk about this, but this is normally something I would talk about on this show, but it is Freeform Friday, so I guess I can say whatever I want. But take a listen to this. Here are the top 10 celebs who inspired people to push past limitations such as fear, self-doubt to achieve their goals, according to a poll of 2,000 adults in the U.S. over the age of 30. At number 10 came in Barry Grylls. At number 9, the Kardashians. At number 8, Stone Cold Steve Austin. At number 7, Jennifer Lopez. At number 6, Rebel Wilson. At number 5, Tyler Perry. At number 4, Beyonce. At number 3, Ronaldo. At number 2, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And at the number 1 spot of the top 10 that helped push the limitations, according to the top 10 list, is Oprah Winfrey. So there you go. Something probably you didn't expect. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on. Anyways, with that being said, let's see if we can do something to get you past your limitations. Let's bring some John Small with the Motivation Minute.
Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Steve. Jeff Bezos said, "Gifts are easy. They're given after all. Choices can be hard. You can seduce yourself with your gifts if you're not careful. And if you do, it'll probably be to the detriment of your choices." I like that. Mr. Bezos happens to be one of the wealthiest people on planet Earth. He's usually in the top spot. Now, I'm not sure if that's where he is right now, mainly because that's not really important to me. I've never even wanted to be a billionaire, and I am succeeding in that. I do, however, like the quote from this billionaire. Don't focus so much on the gift that you forget why you're giving the gift in the first place. That matters far more in the long run. This is today's Motivation Minute. It's courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlyssaMorgan.com. We all heard that brain shrinks with age, particularly the hippocampus and frontal lobe. For ameliorating at least some of these changes, exercise plays a huge role. When you exercise, profound molecular changes occur, inducing numerous beneficial cytokines and other factors that support immune health. One acute bout of aerobic exercise induced extensive changes in almost 10,000 molecules involved in energy metabolism, oxidative stress, inflammation, tissue repair, and growth factor response. Exercise is one of the enduring pillars of good health, with many benefits including powerful mood-enhancing to immune-boosting effects.
When we exercise, the brain structure changes to accommodate. That is especially true in motor regions and areas that need more oxygen. For more information on wellness, check out alessamorgan.com.
Hello, I'm Richard Exley with your 1-minute devotion. Satan is never more effective than when he tempts us to meet a legitimate need in an inappropriate and or sinful way. Still, regardless of how alluring that temptation may be, you do not have to succumb, for God always provides a way of escape. But if you are serious about overcoming temptation, you must act quickly. Initially, the way to escape is broad and easy to find, but the longer you delay, the narrower it becomes, and the harder it is to find. When you are tempted, he will show you a way out so that you can endure. That's 1 Corinthians 10. Lord, help us to recognize temptation immediately and to utilize a way of escape you have prepared. Amen. If these devotions are a blessing and an encouragement to you, you can subscribe at oneminutedevotion.com.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
How about you tell me how you really feel about it? So there you go. 53 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. Just in case you were wondering where the hell you were, that's where you're at. You're hanging out with me, doing the fun stuff that we get to do. Let's talk a little bit more about some things that are going on inside of the world of the news. Take a listen to this. A Chicago public school high school teacher on the city's north side says that he is being disciplined for supporting his students. Perry Williams has more info.
Hill, a biology and chemistry instructor at Nobel Academy Charter School, has been placed on administrative leave indefinitely for joining a student protest.
I just want these kids to be able to get that same education without fear of losing jobs, without fear of getting suspended, without fear of anything.
Students left their classrooms on Monday to demonstrate. Protest organizers say their issues include sexual harassment and unfair discipline when it comes to black and brown students. I'm Perry Williams.
So here's my question. What was considered that the teacher did wrong because he was supporting his kids and went outside? I mean, that's an interesting one. I mean, if all the kids walked out anyways, like what's going to be the world of difference if somebody was in there or not? Just, something to think about. That is for sure.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
Anyways, the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless is celebrating its Renaissance Legacy in Strout Street Recuperation Care Center in downtown Denver. John Paversky, the coalition president, says that the center will provide 75 medical respite beds and recuperative care for people experiencing homelessness.
Being a discharge planner at a hospital with a patient that has nowhere to go and you're being forced to say goodbye to them.
Denver Mayor Michael Hancock spoke during the grand opening event on Thursday, saying that $46 million facility in downtown Denver will eventually ease the tax burden while helping those in most need. Also, the mayor says the city found 250 people that were experiencing homelessness and housing insecurity a decade ago, and it breaks down its various impacts.
Those 250 people accounted for 2,400 visits to the emergency room in 1 year, 2,600 visits to detox in 1 year, and some 1,400 nights in jail for a year. But they cost the taxpayers of this city some $11 million a year.
Okay, well, thank you for the information. Good to hear that something's being done about it, because that's always important. If we're taking a look at some things that happened back in this day, let's take a look back to 2008. Back in 2008, Spotify is launched. The music, podcast, and streaming service was created by Daniel Ek and Martin Lorenzo. So there you go. That happened back on this day in 2008. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today. Let's see. Holland Rhodes turns 36. Tony Braxton, 55. Simon Cowell turns 63. Vladimir Putin turns 70. John Mellencamp, 71. And Joy Behar, she turns 80 today. just in case you wanted to know. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I got some of those for you. It's World Smile Day, National Frappe Day, Kids Music Day, National Forgiveness and Happiness Day, and last but not least, National Bathtub Day. So there you go. Enjoy a bath if you can, because apparently that's important to do today. Maybe you should bathe every day. I don't know. Just saying that out loud. Anyways, if you need a random joke for today, I have one of those for you. The world gets better every day, then worsens again in the evening. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. Which TV show do you think your life would best fit into? I don't know if I can say that out loud. Here we go. If you need something for the water cooler, try this. 32% of people admit that they do this, even though they know it annoys almost everyone else. What is it? Talking during a movie. Like, you don't do it. It's just like the no-nos of no-nos. You don't do that. You don't talk during a movie. Such asshole-ish move when it comes to that. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show. I will be going over to Radio Big, like I told you earlier at the top of the hour. That's at radiobig.fm, or you can find us on the iHeartRadio app under live streaming section. You know, you can listen to us on Radio Big, iHeartRadio, kind of a way that it's being done. If not, you can keep it locked on Safety FM. Like I said, Sheldon Prime is coming up next. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. We can have peace if we let go of wanting to change the past and wanting to control the future. Anyways, thank you for taking a listen. Thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, we couldn't do what we do around here. Hopefully you'll enjoy your weekend. I will hopefully see you at some point next week. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.